Good evening, everybody. All right. I have a call to order, please.
Director Asner?
Here.
Director Byers? Director Faulkner?
Here.
Director Hudson? Director Moeller?
Here.
Vice President Petroff? And President Cuneo.
Here. And for pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. All right, we have a quorum. Recognitions, Teachers of the Year and Support Staff, Employee of the Year.
Our certificates got a little mixed up. Okay. Good evening, President Cuneo, Board of Directors, and Dr. Keenan. I am Tammy Yates, and I'm the Assistant Executive Director of Partner District. Tonight, we're going to recognize our Teacher of the Year and our Support Staff of the Year winners that were chosen by our Partner District building. Communications has developed a presentation. I would like to just ask for those that are present, as I call your name, if you can please come up and just stand in line here so you can be recognized by the board. And then after that, we will come outside and we'll have a short reception where we can celebrate all your achievements.
So we'll go through all of the introductions to everybody, and then we'll have a picture of it. We'll go up in front. Okay.
Okay, so first off, we have Elizabeth Weber, who was the Teacher of the Year at Rogers Middle School in Afton, who is unable to be present today. Next, we have Molly Gibbs, who was the Teacher of the Year at Garrett Elementary in the Hazelwood School District, was not able to be here today. And we have Tricia Spratt, Teacher of the Year at Spady Elementary in the Ladue School District, who was not able to be here today. We have Brittany Zimfer, who was the Teacher of the Year at Kennerly Elementary in the Lindbergh School District. You're good. Next, we have Angie Sunhausen, who is the Teacher of the Year at Dressel Elementary in the Lindbergh School District. Next, we have Hannah Tamarin, who is the Teacher of the Year at Lindbergh Early Childhood in the Lindbergh School District. Next, we have Diana Wigner, who is the Teacher of the Year at Washington Middle School in the Melville School District, who is unable to be here today. We also have Maureen Walkenbach, who is Paraprofessional or Support Staff of the Year at Beerbaum Elementary in the Melville School District. I think was also unable to be here today. Next, we have Steve Abishon, Paraprofessional at Woolwind Elementary in the Melville School District. Next, we have Donna Teagle from Berkeley Elementary, who is the Paraprofessional of the Year in the Melville School District. And I apologize for this. Then we have Joe Maiden, who's our Teacher of the Year for Mason Ridge Elementary in the Parkway School District. I think he was able to attend this evening. Next, we have Aran Aristigai, Teacher of the Year at Ross Elementary in the Parkway School District. Able to attend this evening. We have Jamie Chapman, who is the Teacher of the Year on our virtual campus for the Parkway School District. Next, we have Jennifer Holshoe, Teacher of the Year at South High School in the Parkway School District. Then we have Rena Noonan, our paraprofessional support staff of the year from Carmen Trails Elementary in the Parkway School District. We have Julie Bushman, speech language pathologist, teacher of the year at Piermont Elementary in the Parkway School District. I don't know if she was able to make it this evening. Emily Wooling, teacher of the year at West Middle, and also Daryl Lewis, paraprofessional support staff of the year at West Middle, both in the Parkway School District. Don't think they were able to make it this evening. Next, we have Lindsay Cottingham, teacher of the year, Remington Traditional School in the Pattonville School District, who's unable to make it. We have next Michelle Miletic, social worker support staff of the year for Pattonville High School in the Pattonville School District. I don't believe was able to make it. Megan Holzum, teacher of the year, Glasgow Elementary in the Riverview Garden School District. Next, we have Candace Thomas, teacher of the year at LeMasters Elementary in the Riverview Garden School District. And last but not least, we have Missy LeBrant, SSD teacher of the year, Claymont Elementary in the Parkway School District.
I have all of you guys line up here. We're going to take a quick photo. Board, if you wouldn't mind standing behind so I can get you in the photo as well.
Up here.
Board, behind
This one?
Short. You should be over here.
Don't want to get you lost in the...
Let me have you two on the end.
Oh, okay.
Of course, we're behind you guys. And then I'm going to have you guys all scoot down just a little bit and turn sideways and angle. Angle that way. Yep. Scoot in. Well, where do you want me angled? Here. Probably center. You're perfect. Just and then, board, if I can just have you scoot over just a little bit. There we go. One more. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Once again, if you would like is able to join us, we will meet right out here outside the communications department for a brief reception. Thank you.
Congrats, everybody. All right, congratulations to all. Now let us introduce our new Special Education Foundation Executive Director, please.
Good evening, Board, President Cuneo, and Board of Directors. Tonight it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Tim Ebby, the new Executive Director of the Special Education Foundation. Mr. Ebby succeeds David Jr., who recently retired. SSD is fortunate to partner with the Foundation to support the needs of our students and families. In addition to helping support critical needs for families in transition, they also provide scholarships, camperships, adaptive equipment, and leadership opportunities. We look forward to working with him and the rest of the SDF team to support and empower our students. Mr. Ebby, would you like to come up?
Thank you so much, and good evening. Just a clarification, the last name is pronounced Evie, but that's, but just don't call me late for dinner, I always say. It is an honor and a privilege to be in this position and to be able to work in partnership with you. My background includes a long career in nonprofit media and public media, and I come to this with so much passion. I have two adult children, who are diagnosed in the autism spectrum, and my oldest daughter is a special education teacher at a high school over in the Columbus, Ohio area. So the work that you do is so important and has been important to our family. I also know and understand the seat that you're sitting in. I was an elected school board member for 4 years while I was in Indiana, so I certainly understand what you and the things you face in your time and your commitment. And it's certainly a labor of love. I know the work that you do on behalf of the students and the families here in the county. So thank you, and I am very excited to be working alongside with you, and really look forward to making a difference in the lives of kids and families. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Amy, we have one public speaker, no public speakers signed up, but we did have one public speaker that's
Good evening. My name is Kelly Alexander, and I retired as Chief Financial Officer from SSD in December 2019. I would like to address the medical insurance rates. At the time of my retirement, the rate for medical insurance was $634.50. When I received my open enrollment letter in July 2020, the rate was going up to $774.10, effective November 1st, 2020, which was an increase of 22%. Per Missouri state statute, the retiree rate follows the established employee rate. The employee rate was increased by 16% on March 1st, 2020, which was off-cycle for rate changes and was not board approved, so this increase, plus an additional 6% increase, was passed on to retirees all at once. I understand the concern with medical costs, as I was over the insurance and benefits department for 12 years. Yet, while the rates were increased 22%, the actual medical expenses decreased 6% from July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2021. The open enrollment letter I received in September 2021 said SSD was experiencing increased medical costs. That is not reflected in actual expenses reported to DESE, nor in the FY22 budget, which reflected a 7.7% decrease in budgeted medical expenses. Yet the retiree rate was increased by 3% to $795.26. I would like whoever is in charge of setting the medical rates to really look at the trends prior to determining the new rates for January 1st, 2023, and to consider the financial impact the rate increases have on all retirees. Thank you.
all right. Next. Someone like to make a motion to approve the agenda? So, second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Superintendent, feedback on the strategic plan, CSIR.
So our next couple of reports are very brief. They are just truly just to seek feedback from the board. So we have, the first one is the strategic plan and the CSIR plan. You have the information in front of you. Dr. Bolton and Dr. Barrow will just kind of briefly explain where they were at, and just really it's time for you, the board, to be able to provide any feedback.
Dr. Cuneo, board members, Superintendent Keenan, good evening. My name is Paul Bauer, and we're going to start off talking about the strategic plan. As Dr. Keenan said, the purpose of this very brief presentation is to see if you all have anything to add or any questions or any feedbacks with the plans. Next slide, please. Just a reminder, bring us back to the very beginning. This is why we're doing it. Doing it to support our mission, to accomplish our vision, and to put into practice our core values. You all know them. We were around when we wrote them, so I won't go through them. So far, you've gotten presentations on the contents of the plan, how it was formulated, strategic priorities, strategic goals. Gotten information on how the district plans to implement it, and you've gotten information on performance measures. Slide, please. So, now it's your turn. Any feedback or any questions?
I have one, and as always, this is a very thoughtful and well-structured plan. My question is, given the fact that we have gone through these particular periods where personnel has presented challenges, how do we gauge time frame in which we're looking to accomplish or to succeed in this area? How do we gauge those particular challenges affecting our abilities to complete the goal?
Well, I'll give you a long answer. The strategic plan is operational in focus. When it talks about strategic planning, strategic thinking, database decisions, decisions based on the district's mission, vision, and core values. That covers everything in the district. So if a particular department is through the work of the implementation plans, if they identify particular issues with a particular department, those will be addressed. You remember the last meeting, the performance measures that I presented to you included some measures that are specific to human resources. Workforce diversity in the workforce, the filling of positions in those targeted districts versus the non-targeted districts. So even though there is not a specific pinpointing of HR or insurance or any other department, the goals and the strategies are written and the teams will be implementing them as far as the whole district goes. And the performance measures will indicate the impact of that work on any particular things. Did that answer your question?
So, in so much, then, are we extending time frame in which some of these goals are to be accomplished? Are we allowing for additional time to be had, hopefully be able to deal with the challenges within those extended time?
The goals were identified. The target for the plan is 5 years. The goals were identified. The particular strategies were written for the first year of the plan. So at the end of the first year, the teams will get together. The leadership team for the strategic plan will look at the data, look at the progress, decide whether something needs to be continued or whether the district is ready for the next step.
What else had to come? Paul, can we make maybe 100 of these? The reason why this was nice, I had a one, there was one side the other. It gave me the differentiation between the CSIP and a strategic plan. What I would recommend, that you want to do, I want to make sure that as we end up with new board members, that we have something like this. It's simple, and it's concise, and it tells me a difference, because otherwise you struggle with it. The other thing is I would recommend, can we make sure that every year we have the governing council gets us, this is really a nice thing, because it puts it all together in one piece.
Good.
It was nice, because last time we had the governing council, different partner districts don't have. They don't differentiate the two, and it becomes confusion. And at that meeting, there was confusion.
Yes.
So I think that this would be nice to pass out.
One of the best practices in implementing strategic plans is that you have that plan on a page, so that it can go to anybody, it can be handed out, it can be posted, and it's right there. And you don't have to look through the whole document to see what the plan's all about.
Yeah, I thought it was well thought out on it, but just the simplicity of having this on one page and then precept on the other is really nice.
Thank you.
For it, and I hope that this is one that we duplicate often.
And the communications department shares some of the credit for that. Because I might have had the words, but they made them look really good.
Well, thank you. I think that's truly was helpful.
Okay, thank you.
Slide, please. Good evening, Dr. Cuneo, Dr. Keenan, and the Board of Education. My name is Molly Bolton, and I am the Executive Director of Teaching, Learning, and Accountability, and I'm going to do the CSIP part of this. So on the next slide here, you see the 3 goals that we have targeted for our CSIP plan. I'm not going to read them to you. You have them in front of you. They're on the plan on the page, on the back side. So if you go ahead and go to the next slide, just want to ask if you guys have any additional feedback or questions regarding the CSIP.
I don't have any questions. I do have a comment, I think similar in vein to Dr. Cuneo, and it may be that, took having this information repeated to me about 6 times before I got it, but I will say, at the last board meeting, the presentations were long, and they were detailed, but it was also the first time where I could say with some confidence, I really understand the strategic plan and the CSIP, the differences between the two and how they so I just wanted to say thank you for that. That was a very enlightening presentation.
Back or comment?
Thank you.
Okay.
You were long last time, but I thought it was worthwhile.
You that was long for you. What about for her? That.
Yeah, I felt like we had to keep getting the water out. No, I thought it was, like I said, first time that it was put together that you could understand.
Yeah, I think it was something tangible for everybody to see and really kind of like
It
see
was
how they
worthwhile.
mesh together.
I think it was also the transition from theory to practice.
Yeah.
And how it was being implemented that also clicked for me. But again, I really, again, it was long. It was a long meeting, but I really appreciate it. And I left at the end, I think, saying, on the way out, I really feel like I got it. So, thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
So the
Thank you.
next step.
Next steps will be, we will be bringing this to you at the end of May board meeting to approve these so that we can then take it to the governing council in June. And then upon their approval, we will start implementation in July.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving right along.
We're going to make them quick tonight. Okay, so good evening again. Next we want to bring you into the 5-year equity learning plan as well as the equity indicators. So we know you were presented these items at the retreat as well as last time, and so we're here to get some feedback on that as well. So we want to update you on the changes and then give you a chance to provide some feedback.
Great, thank you. President Cuneo, Board of Directors, Dr. Keenan here to update you again on the learning plan and the indicators. So the purpose of this presentation, again, is to solicit feedback from the April 12th presentation and just to delve into a little bit of pieces here as it relates to the learning plan and the indicators. So when we talk about the learning plan and really the feedback that was also given and then what was implemented from those pieces, I will say that all of the feedback from the board retreat and the April 12th board meeting was implemented as it relates to the learning plan. And so using more student-centered examples in all of the courses, which were, cross-cultural, diversity, inclusion, identity, stripping, intersectionality, all those courses that was mentioned, the student examples were entered into to provide quality scenarios. Also, providing the role-playing experience, which was feedback that was given, into the courses, especially on the blended courses, to provide more engagement. We also created a session as it relates to youth culture, to really provide that engagement pieces. And then also really looked as it relates to the outcomes for the vector courses, so that persons clearly had an understanding on what the outcomes would be from those courses.
And then as far as the equity indicators were concerned, in your Friday packet, we did provide a chart that went through all the changes, so I'm just gonna highlight them because you already have the details. So a couple of highlights are, looking at, when we look at our teachers and their levels of certification, we're also going to be looking at the path that they took to get certification. So be that with a para-educator to teacher program, be that a house certification, a testing certification, or if they took the coursework for that certification. We're also adding in the group of looking at our employees by age and descent as well, saying that. And we added in a little bit of research behind that to support that. Changing admin to administrator, so it's more clear, what that stands for. And then looking at, as we're looking at those longevity of if a student had a teacher for the whole year or changed mid-year, we're also going to be looking at that para-educator or paraprofessional role as well. If they had multiple changes with para-educators or if they had stable para-educators supporting them for the year. Looking at discipline data, also broken down by some of the other characteristics as opposed to ethnicity, just ethnicity and race, but also looking at gender and those types of things. We also did, from this part, remove the mobility metric, as we talked about when we looked at, we're targeting that for the CSET plan. We felt like that might not be a good indicator, and so we have more solid solutions in place to address that, and then that become an indicator later on. And then added the definition of LRE, or least restrictive environment, to make that more clear for folks as they're looking at that. And then the last piece is we did add the survey responses for a sense of belonging. So an indicator measuring that for our students at that 12th grade level to see what their perceptions were with that. Again, this is detailed in your Friday packet, way more detailed than what I just gave you, but that's a simple overview. And the next slide would just be a chance for you to offer any additional feedback or questions that you might have.
One of the things, somebody else will bounce in. One of the things I thought we might want to look at, okay, when we're doing this, we looked at same teacher, same card. Thank you for adding the pairs. I think that's a real important thing. And we're going to see what percentage is able to be kept throughout the school year. We're going to do it by district, correct?
Correct.
We know that certain districts have a larger percentage of students that move out of that district during the course of the year. So can we factor out the percentage of students, let's say that, I'm just throwing these numbers down. I'm not saying that these are the actual numbers. Let's say Melvin has 10%, where students will leave and go from one school to another. Is there a way, once we get our numbers, we can factor out that 10%? I mean, we should be able to do that. And do that for each of the districts we have. Because I'd like to know what percentage of it's because of parents our teachers are, and what was because we have students that are very mobile. And some of our districts have.
You're looking at the percentage of students that are mobile within a district?
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to look at being able to factor that out. Because I think if we're going to look at a success rate that we're going on, we would need that to be factored out. So I think we could do that without much trouble.
Yeah, we definitely would have the percent of students mobility rate within.
We do, we have mobility rates.
Yeah, so we would have that.
But I,
So we
but I
would just
think,
add that in there.
I think that would give us truer numbers.
Okay, so we'll just add that as one of the metrics,
Yeah,
within that indicator.
thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other feedback for us? Okay, so next steps for this will be, again, in May. We will bring it to you for approval for the 5-year professional learning plan as well as the SE indicators. All right, third time. Last one for tonight, I promise you. This is our third quarter update for the Comprehensive School Improvement Plan, or the CSIP. Next slide, please. So the purpose is just to give you that third quarter update. It is required by DESE that we update you quarterly on how we're doing with our plan. Next slide, please. So you will hopefully remember, these are our goal 1, as well as our strategies that fall under that I have presented to you quarterly. Next slide, please. And these are the accomplishments, the milestone progress, as well as the next steps. So I'll quickly run through those. So 1.1, remember, is our multi-tiered systems of support. And so some things that we have completed in this third quarter were we did complete and distribute the instructional audit results, which that was presented to you guys in February. We began our pilot program for our universal checklist, and some revisions we have made to that. And we also completed a case study and working on refining that on best practices and looking at data. We refined and provided to each of our directors their district data stories from their data, their progress monitoring data, as well as other data that we collected for that district, and that helps them do their professional learning plans and gap analysis for the following year. And we developed a process for ensuring that data is shared with principals and directors. Part of our data team strategy is that we do look at various data sources throughout the year, and now we've established a process of once that is shared with our strategy team, we will then share it out with principals and directors. All of our milestones are on target to be completed by the end of this year. And our next steps that we'll be working on in fourth quarter is, actually we just did complete our universal pilot, so we'll be making refinements based on the recommendations from that. And then we will also be exploring some thresholds for our checklist that we're using with our MAP-A population, so that we can then kind of determine how kids are progressing on that progress monitoring.
Molly, can you explain MAP-A?
MAP-A is our students who are assessed on the alternative standards and take the alternative assessment. 1.2, if you remember, that's our post-secondary plans group. They have completed all their milestones for this year, but they are continuing their work. This will be a CSIP strategy that will continue into our new CSIP plan as well. They're continuing to modify their protocol process that they're using and working through the SRS process so that they can continue that work in the new CSIP. 1.3 also is all completed, and that is our safety. Developing that safe and secure environment. So some things that they have done, they have updated the command center communication protocol, and they also have updated their hazards and emergency response framework. They also, I think if you remember when I presented second quarter, they were asked to present to MSBA their command center and protocols that they have developed, and they are being seen as a model. And so you'll see they may now be presenting that at the National MSBA Conference, which is very exciting. And they're continuing to refine their processes. 1.4 is a family engagement. Again, all milestones are on target to meet by the end of this year. Some things that they've been working on is a common slide for our professional learning around the research with family engagement. And they have done a pivot between student-led conferences and are leading more into student-led IEPs, as that is a great opportunity for our students to participate in that process. They're also gathering their quality indicator baseline for third quarter, and they are continuing with their home visits training.
You'll see for fourth quarter, when I come back, they have been adding more on-demand family engagement videos to the website, and the one that they're working on currently is the student-led IEP one, which will be information for families to access about what that process looks like. And then they are also creating some refresher videos for staff on home visits, so that they'll have those to access. Next slide, please. Moving on to Goal 2, which is our workforce excellence. Next slide, please. Strategy 2.1 is that retention and recruitment goal. And so currently they're working on job fairs and different seminars. And then they also are focusing on those student teachers from the spring to get them to apply as potential candidates. So you can see our fill rate there as of March 24th for our teachers, our admin, and our paras. And then all their milestones are on target, and they'll just be continuing that work for the fourth quarter. 2.2 is increasing the diversity. So you can see our March data there in comparison to October and December, as well as they're continuing to hire the aides using the DESI course for those aides to then become certified and move into assistant positions. They are working on a survey for subgroups to get more information about retention and recruitment from that aspect, and working with colleges and universities. Next slide, and then we move into our Goal 3 for engagement. Next slide, please. So here you can see we have the collaborative relationships. All milestones, again, are on target for that, and they're working on succession planning. So as this CSIP comes to a close, they will be looking at who's going to continue the work with our partnerships. They have completed 2 strategy tasks and have updated 10 of our agreements to better align with our rubric that we have decided that are best practices for collaborative agreements. And then they are also working on 3 new formal agreements for organizations that we've been partnering with that we didn't have an agreement with. When you look at 3.2, that's our voice of customer strategy, and all milestones have been met for this year. We are moving to a new survey tool, Panorama, for next year. And they're just going to continue to work on the possible questions for the climate survey as we move forward into next year, with a target being looking at how can we survey our partner district families. Currently, we just service the families within our schools, the students and families within our schools. We'd like to reach out to our partner districts as well. And then we are in the process of creating a calendar for survey deployment. Next slide, please. Our final goal is our equity goal. Slide, please. And within that strategy, as you just heard in our previous presentation, we are finalizing that 5-year plan and continuing the professional learning around the equity framework, which is scheduled to be completed by the end of the school year. So all of our milestones are on target for completion. Slide. Any questions that you might have?
Thank you.
Finished for this evening. Thank you.
I do have one question.
Oh, yes.
Back on page 4, I know you were describing the data story template.
Yes.
You mind, I missed it, I think.
Okay,
You might
sure.
explain one more time, please?
Yes, and actually I can share the overall district one in our Friday packet if you'd like to see that in further detail. So some things that includes are our benchmarking tool, FastBridge. So we share out what does our data look like from beginning of the year to mid-year on math and reading. And then we also, we had just finished our suspension report that was shared with the board, and so that data was provided for each district to look at their suspension rate. And then we also, I believe we looked at our goal data, how students were progressing on their IEP goals. So I can share that template out with you. We have a district-wide one, but then we break it down for each individual district and share that with the directors. Okay. Any other questions?
All right, on our consensual items, would someone like to make a motion to remove 7.20, 7.21, and 7.30 from the consensual items.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
For the remaining items on the consensual items, all others with the exception of 7.20, 7.21, and 7.30. Someone make a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 7:20, Evans and Dixon Client Engagement Agreement. Someone like to make a motion to move to accept.
So.
For a second.
Second.
Good. Curtis, you had some questions on that.
Yes, looking at those two, which are the agreements we have with our law firm, I recall that a few years ago, we looked at how much we were spending, and I'd like to be able to know also what we're spending now, our current amount of money. And in reading through that, and from a couple of years ago, looking at another law firm, I have to get the impression that there aren't any minority firms that are able to provide us with the kinds of services that these two are. The reason why there aren't any minority participation in those two firms.
So we look at the maybe, so it's minority intimate, and we also look at the other, so it's a global piece around it. But we also have to look at the specialty areas that they're looking at. So, Evans and Dixon is more on the workman's comp. Our other one is around, Brian Cave is around employment, and then Tomachek is around special education. So we really have three specialty areas that require our expertise of our attorneys. When we look at these agreements, going forward, as we go out for bids, we look at the other pieces like we presented with the minority pieces and the women pieces of it too.
If I can add one other piece, and again, this is on passport. I'm not saying that we have to do it, each board is their own thing. But one of the big issues that we had is conflict of interest. We didn't want to have one of the law firms that would, the one that would be defending us, when they take the case, they would also be one of the partner districts, law firms, and then we would end up having some type of conflict. We had that in the past, when we had a law firm that was defending us, and was also defending one of the partner districts, and there was a sharing of information, which there should be. So we said that there had to be, at least we had, and it's been that way, I guess, for about 10, 15 years. And again, we can always change it, but one of the factors that was there is that we said if the firm is with us, they can't have any partner. They can't partner with any other 22 districts.
Particularly in those cases, and ourselves against.
Exactly.
Yeah,
because a lot of
and I saw that in the contract.
yeah.
That was, if I can remember right, there was a Hazelwood case where a child got hurt. And there was a question of who was, for both at that time, sharing the same attorney.
Right.
But the engagement was it. You suggesting, Curtis, to see this go out to bid next year?
Well, I'd like for us, based upon our equity plans we're doing as well, to make sure that if in fact that there are opportunities for us to be able to share. Now, as I remember, we are spending quite a lot of money in legal fees. And so, in so much, I think that a part of our marketing as an institution lends itself to being able to share those revenues as best we can with individuals who get afford have possibly never had an opportunity to work in that behalf, in our behalf.
Any other discussion?
Hopefully, we can ask that if in fact that they're going to hire K, as I know, there's a lot of value and loyalty in business and politics. So therefore, if in fact that we could persuade them, make sure that they had ample minority representation as a part of the team that represents us.
No. Okay, with that said, would you be, does that include 720 and 720 Grand Cave and Evans and Dixon?
Those two, those things to be done.
All right.
Can I amend my motion to approve both of those items?
Yes. That's what it's for. All right.
I'll second
All in favor of that motion? We're taking the votes.
We're voting to approve these contracts.
All right, all in favor of approving both of those contracts? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. And on the SDVLS salary schedule revision, we're just going to delete that from current. All right, action items.
Can I just make a
Yes.
motion to excuse our missing board members from the meeting?
Is there a second?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The action items. Action items, the following items were approved during the executive meeting on April 12th. Employment, resignation, retirement, salary adjustments, non-renewal of professional staff, non-renewal of support staff, non-renewal of administrative staff. March 8th, the following items were approved. Employment, resignations, retirements, and salary adjustments. The employment of teacher-level personnel. Employment of extended school year, SY staff, and summer program, which we will continue to. Right. And contract release for teacher-level staff. Yes, we should have one here. Board of Education business. Does anyone have anything that they would like to add? We also should have something on here about making a motion we have. Now you have a motion to approve the minutes of the last meetings. 8.02.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
We should have something. Would someone like to make a motion for the closed meeting of the Board of Education for April 28th and May 10th and 26th and May 10th, 2012 at 7 p.m. or at the close of this meeting?
So moved. Second.
Can you, a roll call on that, please?
Director Asner?
Yes.
Director Faulkner?
Yes.
Director Hudson? Yes. Director Mueller?
Yes.
And President Cuneo?
Yes. All right. COVID mitigation plan reminder.
Informational.
Just informational. Board regulations, that's what we saw fast. Calendar events, we'll let everyone read their own. Is there anything anyone would like to bring up during this meeting? All right. With that, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Please, let it be known, it's on 6:30.